We spend hundreds of dollars on the best lumber and hours on the perfect joinery, only to rush the one step that determines how the light hits the wood. Sanding. Most of us go to the big box stores and we grab the cheapest pack of discs that we can find. But today, we are looking at the 3M Xtract Cubitron II. It's the most talked about abrasive in the industry right now.
Wow.
Is it a marketing gimmick, or is it actually a shortcut to a better finish? Disregard the mess behind me. I'm working on a couple of projects now, so it's a bit of a mess in here. And remember, small shop, but big dreams.
I like this. This is cute.
Let's talk tech for a second. Standard sandpaper is basically crushed rocks glued to paper. As you sand, those rocks get dull and rounded, so they stop cutting and they start rubbing. That creates heat. So sometimes when you're feeling your workpiece, it's usually a bit hot and you don't notice much material coming off of it. This right here, the 3M Cubitron II, is not just mesh. This is precision shaped grain, PSG as they call it. 3M literally engineers these tiny ceramic triangles, and as they wear down, they don't get dull. They fracture into new sharp points. It's like 1,000 tiny chisels working at once.
Now that's a lot of damage!
So I just want to get you guys to look at something here. So this is the Xtract Cubitron II up close. See how you can see my hand behind it? Right? And then you have the traditional sandpaper. You usually got about 5 or 8 holes. This one's got 8. You see, these are for dust extraction. Now, if these aren't perfectly lined up with your sander, the sawdust is just going to swirl around and kind of sit on the surface there. But the Xtract 2 has all of these little micro holes in it, which kind of makes the whole piece of sandpaper technically a dust port. All right, so I got this crappy piece of maple. Well, it's not crappy, but I kind of f***ed up. So we're going to use it as a test piece. What I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to scribe a line across this wood, and then I'm going to test each piece of sandpaper that I have. They're both 80 grit, and we're going to run it along the surface, and we're going to kind of see how each piece takes off material. We're going to time it, so it'll be about a minute, and we'll see within that minute how the Xtract Cubitron II holds up to the regular shitty sandpaper that you can buy 100 to 500 of for about 15 bucks on Amazon. All right, let's make some sawdust. So let's take a look at this. This was the big box crap. So, I mean, it took a little bit off. Definitely not smooth. I had this already kind of pre-sanded, but definitely not any smoother than it was before. Yeah, you can see that really didn't do a whole lot. Yeah. I'm going to get this board cleaned up, and then we're going to hit it with the Xtract.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Okay, so I cleaned up the board and then I hit it with another layer of this beautiful Home Depot carpenter's pencil, which I just dropped on the floor. So now we're gonna take off this piece of shit. We're gonna add this beautiful sandpaper from 3M. Fits so nicely on that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit this with the same timer, about a minute. And we're gonna see how nicely it comes out. Let's make some sawdust. Or not, because this has good dust extraction. About the full minute on this one too, and significantly smoother. And as you can see, there's no more pencil lines. So this thing did a pretty wild job in the same amount of time, whereas the other big box store crap didn't even get through 20% of it. So yeah, it looks pretty good. Kind of want to sand some more stuff. So, bit of a recap. The 3M Xtract Cubitron II obviously did a significantly better job than the regular cheap stuff. So I just want to talk about when I felt the boards when I was sanding them. So heat is an enemy of sanding.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
It melts the resins in the wood and it clogs the paper, which leads to those annoying pigtail swirls you can sometimes see in your product. The board sanded with the standard paper was noticeably warm when I touched it. Not too hot, but it was definitely warm. The 3M board was cool to the touch, because the 3M sandpaper stays sharp and the dust is removed instantly. It doesn't stay on the surface. So it doesn't generate any friction. This means your discs last longer and your wood won't get those weird burnished spots that will ruin any stain that you apply to it later, or any type of finish that you'll use. Now, because I'm fully certified and well educated on the human body, let's talk about your lungs. Even with a good shop vac or whatever dust collection system you have, standard paper leaves a ghosting, look it up, it's a thing, I think, of dust on the surface of your piece. The dust gets in between the grit of the wood, acting like a lubricant, which could slow you down. With the 3M Xtract Cubitron II, because it's a mesh, the airflow is massive. If I lift the sander slightly, you'll actually be able to feel the suction coming from the hose.
That's what she said.
This isn't just about a clean shop. It's about the grit having constant, clean contact with the wood, which is exactly what you want. And we're gonna head over to this beautiful piece of maple and we're gonna run another test. This time, I'm gonna turn the dust collection system off, compromise my own lungs for your entertainment. All right. Now, if you're wondering, Alex, why are you wearing a different shirt? Well, that's because my phone died and it was late at night and I was just too lazy to charge it and come back and film. So this is the next day and we're just going to continue like none of this ever happened. I might edit this out. I might not. It is what it is. So I'm going to start this. Actually, first, I'm going to show you the surface of the wood. So this is a clean blue rag, clean-ish. We're going to scrape it across. You're going to see that there's really nothing on it. Maybe just a couple pieces that came off. We're going to save that, and we're going to show after we sand the piece. So we're going to use the Cubitron II first. We're going to try that out. And I'm just going to scrape the surface like that. Go a little deep there. We're going to put 30 seconds on the clock, and we're going to sand this without the dust hose on. And we're going to go back over it with the clean cloth. And I don't know if you can see that, but there is a significant amount of dust that was still left on the surface there. Not too much, but there still was a fair amount without the dust hose on. All right, so I'm going to get that cleaned off from the last piece. So now we're going to test it with the big box store shit that we have. I'm just going to show you again the workpiece. As you can see, there's barely any sawdust there. So we're kind of starting from scratch again. And we're going to get on the big box shit. Line up the holes, even though it doesn't matter at this point. Okay. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to put 30 seconds on the clock. Scribe the line. I'm not going to go too crazy with this.
Wow. Crazy. You're crazy, girl.
Because this paper doesn't sand as well. And we're going to make some sawdust. Let's get to it. You can still see there's a bit of a pencil mark there. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I was putting a fair amount of pressure down to try to clear this pencil, but we still kind of maxed out the timer. So I'm going to come along and I'm going to go across the surface with this rag. Yeah, there's definitely a few pieces on here that shouldn't be here, but yeah, it's significantly dirtier. And that's mainly because of the 8 dust holes that it has, as opposed to the 3M, which has the hundreds, if not thousands, of holes on this one sheet of mesh. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, the cost. Because on paper, this just looks insane. I bought a pack of the standard paper for 25 bucks, and it came with about 165 pieces, all assorted grits from 80 to 600, which works out to be about 15 cents a disc. I paid about $16.70 on Amazon for a box of 12. Now, if you're a smart person,
My boy's wicked smart.
and you want to do the math, I believe that's roughly $1.39 per disc. Wild. Mathematically, one single 3M disc costs about the same as 9 of the big box shit. So does it last 9 times longer? Honestly, probably not 9 times. In my testing, it lasts about 4 to 5 times longer before the grit is totally spent. So if we're looking at just the cost of the abrasive, the cheap stuff technically wins the penny pincher award. And that's the only award that it's going to win tonight. But here's the pro perspective. Sanding isn't just about the cost of paper, it's about the cost of your time and your health. If the 3M removes material 25% faster, which it does, and you spend about 4 hours sanding a dining table, the 3M just saved you a full hour of sanding over a vibrating machine, which for me tends to hurt my arm. I actually get a massive pain after sanding for a long time, right over here. So what's an hour of your time worth? That's really the big question here. More than $10 difference in sandpaper? For me, absolutely. Dust. The 15-cent discs have 8 holes. 8 holes. Some have 5. These ones have 8. That leaves about 30% of the dust on your material. That dust gets in the air, it gets in your nose, it gets all over your shop. The 3M mesh pulls almost everything into your dust collection hose. Finally, we'll talk about the quality of the finish. Cheap paper loses its grit. We all know that. The little pieces of grit break off and they get trapped under the sander, creating those pigtail marks that we discussed earlier. The swirls that you don't want to see at all, but you only tend to see them once you apply stain, which is the absolute worst time to see those marks. Then you have to sand the whole thing all over again. And we all know how much of a pain in the ass that is, especially if you're using these pieces of shit, because you got another 4 hours of sanding on your hands.
Daddy, chill.
The verdict? If you're just scuff sanding a birdhouse, or, you know, just one of those quick Saturday projects for your kids, or anything that's really not using high-end lumber, like maple, walnut, cherry, then the standard big box shit is fine. But for anything substantial, the Xtract Cubitron II is the single best productivity tool that I've added to my shop. It turns the part of woodworking that I hate into a part that's fast, clean, and actually kind of satisfying. So I'll let you guys be the judge. You've seen the video. You've seen my comparisons. Now you can go out and purchase the big box shit and compare. And first off, we're going to get a counter up here somewhere to see how many times I've said big box shit, and then we're gonna have like the total right here, and we're gonna embarrass me because I've said it so many times, because that's really what it feels like, is the big box shit, because that sandpaper has been around for what I believe is ages.
It's been 84 years.
So the mesh paper kind of came around and changed the game. The big box shit, $25 for a pack of 165 assorted grit. The good shit, about $16.70 for a pack of 12. Grab them for less than $50 Canadian. We're talking Canadian dollars, not US dollars. I don't know how much they are in US dollars, sorry to my friends to the south of us, but you guys definitely can pick these up too. Test them out, see what you enjoy. You might be okay with the big box crap, or you might just decide to chuck it in the garbage and say, fuck it. I'm going to stay with 3M, which is what I'm going to do. I still have those guys because there was 165 of them. I will not be purchasing them again. I will be sticking with 3M forever. They have my heart. I thought that would stick. And if you aren't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It would help me out so much. It'll help me grow my shop. It'll help me be able to bring more content to you and be able to do some more fun comparisons and some other cool videos that I have in mind. So we'll see you guys on the next one.